Hey, so I shit you not, just now I was asking randomwordgenerator.com, one of my favorite divination tools, what the subject of this video should be, and it literally gave me the word stadium. And I'm at this like an elementary school field, and legitimately there's a stadium right next to it, stadium seats. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess you want me to sit on that at the very least. A really beautiful butterfly just flew by. And I just want to remind you, stadium gives me this feeling, so this is what I'm gonna say. I want to remind you, and I say it a lot, I think it's just part of the message that I'm here to share. The world really wants your stories and your medicine and your art. And sharing those little pieces as you go, even if they're not perfect, just sharing something, just putting something out there, that's why you're here and that's what you're here to do. I recently had a very sacred ceremony in my life in which I communed with a plant called tepes, which comes from the mimosa flower and is one of the many hundreds of plants in the world that contains the DMT derivative. And that was my first time communing with that medicine. It was very, very beautiful and very powerful. And one of the downloads that I got, among others, was, yeah, hey, it's great that you're writing a book, The Wild Way Home, and you're gonna do that. Happy for you on that one. And what's really important is that you share what you have to share along the way, whatever that is. And again, this doesn't have to mean social media. This doesn't have to mean broadcasting out on a YouTube video like this. It might just mean showing a piece of art you're working on to a friend, or sharing a quote that you came across with someone who you feel called to share it with. Making your offerings to the world as they ask to be offered and along the way. And I think one of my most humbling experiences trying to post YouTube videos every day again and get my blogs out there and do social media stuff, like AKA sharing what I have to give along the way, is that maybe it doesn't get those big stadium reactions. Maybe the stadium that's watching me play on the field looks a bit like this. Pretty much empty seats, right? And yet there's one person in these bleachers. And honestly, even if it's just me, that gives myself that validation that what I'm finding inspiration and creative expression in matters, or it's just one person on those stadium seats watching me. We don't really know the ripples and the effects that our art has in the world. I'll give you two examples and then I'm gonna go do my daily practice of running and literally just run some laps around this grass field today. Not do anything too intense, and I'm running every day. What are you doing every day? It's a practice. I do want to hear. So example one is, who has seen La La Land? That is such a good movie, so inspirational to me. And if you haven't seen it, go watch it. Let's watch it together. So Emma Stone in that movie writes a play and goes and puts it on in the local theater, and she prepares and prepares and prepares for it. It's a one-woman play. It's like her heart's work. It's everything that she's ever done and, poured into this creative expression. And on opening night, she rents out this whole theater for it, this whole stadium. And there are about 4 or 5 people in the audience and hundreds of empty seats. And she does the play anyway. And, the people who are there, kind of seem to like it, but whatever. And she considers herself just a total failure because no one came. And she doesn't get that acclaim right in the moment when she shared it. And so she literally leaves LA and leaves all hope behind of being an artist and goes back to live with her parents and live this small town life. And later, it turns out that one of the people in the audience, little did she know, was someone who was super connected to the film industry, that a spot for a lead in this major motion picture comes up, and they're like, this woman's like, this girl who did this one woman play that no one came to. She's who we want. And of course, Emma Stone ends up being this huge movie star, which, you know, even in the story, you wonder if that was the best thing to happen, because it changes what happens with the love story. I won't give that away if you haven't seen it. So you never know. And another example of this in my own life, and I think I can find this story on Medium still, maybe, or maybe I can just paste it down below in the About section if I can find it. There was a story that I wrote back when I was living in Guatemala during COVID in 2020, living with a family in Xela, Guatemala. And it was when I first started writing about spiritual, creative things. I had done a lot of journalistic, academic, outdoor, markety, adventure kind of writing. I had never really wrote about my inner world and my spirituality and my emotional experience and practices and things like that in a truly vulnerable, magical way. And I wrote this piece that I was really scared to share. And I did. I shared it on Medium, and I shared it in a Facebook post. I can at least post to the Facebook post down in the About. I'm sure I'll be able to find it. And I put it on Facebook, and I literally did not look at the comments or likes or what happened with that story for like a year. That's how scared I was to see. And I just felt like people would think I was crazy. I looked stupid. I looked silly. I looked pathetic. There's that negative self-talk again, right? Because this was what I had to share, and I didn't think it was good enough. And I really thought that the measure of whether or not it was good enough was like how many likes and comments it got on Facebook. So I think this all happened before I ever went back and saw the reactions to it on Facebook. And I looked on Facebook, and it had 30 something likes or 40 likes or something, and a lot of comments, not surprisingly, because the people who did engage with it, engaged deeply with it. But, I didn't think that was good enough. I didn't think that was very good. And also, in some ways, it was more than I expected, maybe. Other things that I posted from my heart and soul got, 2 likes or nothing. And yet later I would have people come back and talk to me about those videos. But anyway, so this piece that I posted, that was a very spiritual, emotional piece from my time in Guatemala during COVID, ended up that the producer and director of a little theater company in Cody, Wyoming, where I'm from, happened to see it, on her husband's Facebook, not even on hers, read it, and ended up asking me if she could use it as a monologue for a play that she was putting together that was about people's experiences during COVID, Wyomingites' experiences during COVID. So that piece, which I was sure was the stupidest, worst thing ever that everyone was gonna make fun of me for, basically, and no one would care about, that it would be an empty stadium for, and it did feel like that, not only ended up being a monologue that was performed in a local play by a very talented actress named Anna, it also was saved in the Wyoming, what is it called? The archives that are in the, the archives for our country that are in the National Library, and each state has them, and that piece got saved in those national archives for Wyoming along with the others that were in that play. So I just wanted to tell you, it doesn't have to be something that big, right? It can also just be that, again, you gave yourself that self-love and confidence, and it could also just be that one person was inspired. And I think that right there is priceless and immeasurable. If one person is moved or inspired or has some sense of meaning, or that life is worth living, from something that we share, that's actually what matters. And that's actually what moves love, and what moves us, and what moves through us into each other, and vice versa. And yeah, so this is a reminder that even if the stadium seems empty, do it anyway. Go play and perform it and share it anyway, because you never know who's watching, and because it's not really about the final product, which we can never fully understand, so much as it's about sharing what we have to share when we have to share it. And yeah, I think that that's gonna probably be one of my messages to the world, as long as I'm out here making art, as long as I'm here alive in this body, and as long as I'm talking. So if you're listening, this is the universe speaking through me, the goddess speaking as me, to remind you and reheart you that you have things to share, and there are people, whether it's your own heart or others, and both, waiting for that soul sustenance. So let this be your sign. It doesn't matter how small it is. You know in your heart of hearts what it is today, right now. Share it. Allow. Give what you have to give. That is how. Love you. Thanks for listening. I'm gonna go run barefoot now.